There we go. Okay. Hi, everyone. It's lovely to see everybody. I think that's everybody in. Sorry, was just running a couple of minutes late there. Um, and we're welcoming George this evening. I'm so excited, George, to meet. This is the first time I've met you, and I'm so excited. I was reading on your website so much about you. So George started in 2009. You launched your current business. Is that right, George?
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And I saw that you started your business and then took a bit of a new shift, so kind of more of a spiritual shift. Was it? And that was after launching in 2009.
Yes, it's true.
Yeah. Amazing. And then your speciality is really helping people develop their online presence to become more authentic in their business and the business strategy.
hmm
So we've got a couple of topics to kind of share and do. It's really a chance for a Q&A with everybody to bring up our own within our focalizing practice and your wider I know everyone within the focalizing community tends to kind of have a bit of a hybrid of lots of modalities that they're bringing together. And often some of the challenges that we can face is kind of how, sometimes it's even how to actually present that as something with clarity, so that our customers actually and our clients really know what it is we do, especially with somatics, because it can be such a felt experience. And we often talk about the slow way is the fast way. And so actually when we start to put that to clients, especially over kind of short so the way social media works with such short kind of content, it can be really tricky. And I think that seems to come through the community time and time again, is how do we present that, and also how do we present ourselves in a way that's really clear, and kind of understand who it is that we're perhaps marketing to. So that's perhaps a little bit about what I feel has really come through the community. And then I think I'll hand that over to you there, George.
Yeah, that's wonderful intro. I appreciate hearing that context, and it's great to see everyone here. Thanks for joining live. I know some people are watching this via recording, right? So hopefully this is useful to everybody here. And I did get a question in advance, but I felt like I should probably give some context to the way I see marketing, and then I would love to be taking questions from all of you who are here live, and we'll start with the one in advance. But okay, so authentic marketing is what I like to talk about, and usually when we think about marketing, we think of it as like a means to an end. Oh, we gotta, what a bother, right? We have to do marketing so that we can finally get our clients, and then that's when we can really come alive and do the real work that we came here for. And I think that's it's a shame, because, well, I used to see marketing that way too, but then I realized I I don't know how long I have to live for. Like, am I just gonna spend much of my waking hours doing the means to an end marketing so I can finally work with clients? And I'm like, couldn't marketing itself be like a meaningful act? Couldn't marketing itself be worth doing? Like, couldn't it itself be worthy of the soul? Or is it just like a really worldly, like, unfortunate, necessary evil we have to do until we get to the good part of business? And so that's what I've been exploring for years, trying to figure out how everything we do can be a expression of authenticity and um, personal growth, essentially. So one of the concepts that I like to talk about is how when we create content, because marketing is, I'll just make it real simple for you. Essentially content and offers. Like, there's two wings to it, right? Marketing is content and offers. Content, so that people can content, usually you think of it as like, oh, I'm going to make blog posts or Instagram videos so that people can discover me and then decide to work with me. Again, that sounds like a means to an end. Whereas I look at content as a muscle for, like, creativity fitness, I call it sometimes. Like, the opportunity to create content is the opportunity to become more creative yourself, to learn how to express your authenticity and your care for your audience, right? For your people. It's an opportunity to express care and creativity and therefore grow yourself and to grow the audience, no matter if they, and this is the key, no matter if they buy from you, no matter if they hire you. Because if we create content saying, well, this piece of content, this blog post, this video better get me some clients, you're instantly attached. And that attachment creates suffering, right? As we all know. I mean, same thing with offers. Oh, this offer that I'm going to develop better get me clients. I mean, I worked so damn hard on the website. I maybe even hired a writer or a graphic designer, and this thing better get me clients. What the hell am I doing this for? Attachment. You're doing it for suffering is what you're doing it for. Because then when you launch, you're like, oh God, when are people going to contact me? What's going on here? So this is what I mean when I was like, I'm trying to make all of business a spiritual act instead of just when I get to work with clients, it feels so expansive and deep and wonderful. And oh, I got to do marketing now, right? So I'm really hoping that that's the main thing you'll walk away with is start to bring spirit and soul and truth with a capital T into every act of your business, including marketing, because none of us know how long we have to live. When what Katie said earlier, when I kind of like turned spiritual, it was because there's this question that wouldn't let go of me back in 2012 was when I started to become crazy like this. And I used to be sane. But back in 2012, this question like got hold of me, like, well, George, what if you only had 6 months left to live? Like, where the hell did that come from? I don't know where, but it came and then it wouldn't let go of me. I'm like, wow. Like, if that were true, I would want to do everything as an act of personal growth. I wouldn't want to waste a single minute. I don't want to do marketing so that I can work with clients. The marketing itself should be, of course, that has to happen, so-called in the real world. But the marketing itself should be so meaningful. If I'm like typing a blog post or I'm making a video and I like drop dead the next minute, it would have been worthwhile. Like it wouldn't be like, oh, I didn't get a client from that video. Do you see what I mean? Like it's so ridiculous that we think of marketing in that way, right? Well, it's not ridiculous. It's normal. But for those of us who are crazy, it does sound ridiculous. So I like to think of, so I talk about content and talk about offerings, right? You put out content, not only because people then discover you and, discover your energy signature. That's another concept I like to talk about. Your energy signature is when you feel alive and you're really expressing your soul, whether it's in written format, video format, on a call, on your website, the font you choose. Some people call this personal brand. I like to use energy signature because I think that's much more holistic and resonant to me and to most of my people. So essentially with content, you're trying to discover what your energy signature is by experimenting a lot. I don't know about you, but like, well, I used to be extremely shy. Like I grew up, my family immigrated from Taiwan to the United States when I was just learning how to speak. And so I could barely speak my mother tongue. I mean, everyday language. And then now I had to learn English. And then I was in a mostly like white, completely English speaking community. And I was like one of the only minorities there. And I could barely speak English. And it was very embarrassing. And it was difficult to learn. I couldn't express my energy signature because I was always being repressed by how can I be just like everybody else. It wasn't until I got into a class environment where it was a small environment and I really got encouraged to be vulnerable and make mistakes and things that I really started to blossom. I really started to learn because I used to be like, no way I would ever do public speaking. No way, right? Or no way I would even write. I was so hesitatingly writing and always, still I am, right? I'm still not a good writer. Even though I published 5 books, I still think I'm a bad writer. Whatever, doesn't matter. So energy signature is that authentic expression you experience more and more as you're in an environment, a community that really accepts you for who you are and is curious about who you really are. And I think that that is the grand opportunity of content creation. It's not just to get clients and to get visibility, it's to practice and to try and be yourself and to see who responds. Because the people who respond are really responding to your energy signature. The more that you experiment and lean into, oh, wow, that feels alive for me. That feels real for me. That feels powerful for me. Okay. So content is expression, it's energy signature exploration, and content is also ministry. Because when you are practicing and exploring your energy signature, you are simultaneously being of service to humanity. For whoever watches your video or reads your thing is finding that within themselves too. They're seeing the resonance of this person's being real, and also the message this person's saying is relevant for me at this time. Okay, so you're serving people. Do you understand that way more people are going to see your content than ever spend a dime on your business? Way more people are going to be impacted by your content than ever becomes a client. So I always scratch my head when I see like spiritual teachers who like outsource their marketing, and like you like, oh, this person's so wonderful and spiritual, and then their marketing is like gross. You're like, why am I receiving 3 emails from this person today and they're all trying to sell me? Like, this is not their voice. Like, what the hell is going on? It's because the spiritual person says, marketing is a means to an end. Why don't you, mercenary copywriter, go and do this thing so I can have my clients, and I'll be real spiritual with my clients. Who cares about the marketing? You go and do whatever conversion optimization method you need to do. And I'm like, this is madness, right? Because everything is one, and it's like your marketing is actually not only damaging your brand, but it's also making the world worse. And then you try to make the world better through your coaching and your healing. Oh, okay, good luck. You're not even balancing it out, because more people see your marketing than who work with you. So you're actually making the world worse. And then like 10% of it works with you, or 20% of your extraordinary conversion rate works with you. Then you can heal them again based on your damn marketing, right? So energy signature content as ministry is what I like to think of it. And then let's talk about offers, because, well, yes, of course you want to have a clear communication of your message such that the right people go, oh my gosh, that's for me. I need to work with you. So when it comes to offers, I like to think of it as alignment. I want to think, how many of you are familiar with Tad Hargrave, Marketing for Hippies? Raise your hand. A couple of you. If you're not, go check it out. Go check him out. He's a friend and colleague of mine, and I learned a lot from him. Marketingforhippies.com. And he really has done a good job of communicating the message that selling is not about pushing or trying to cajole or charm or persuade people. Selling is about finding fit. That's all it is. I mean, true, authentic selling is about finding fit. Like, is what is real for me feel like what you actually want at this time? If it's not, we shouldn't waste each other's time, right? Why? But if what I want to offer and what I'm really excited to offer and what I'm qualified to offer is also what you want at this time, and I have the right energy signature match for you, my goodness, we're going to do great work together. Finding fit. So I call it alignment, right? So that's what we're really trying to do with our offers, is we're trying to find alignment between, on the one hand, our passion, skills, energy signature, and on the other hand, our audience's wants at this time. And that Venn diagram intersection is alignment. Okay. So alignment is one part of offers. Reach is the other factor, the second factor. Reach, well, obviously, the more people your offer reaches, the more chance you have at finding alignment. Among a bunch of people, there are going to be some who find alignment. And finally, the third factor is trust. Trust. So I like the acronym ART, ART, the art of authentic marketing: alignment, reach, and trust. Alignment, have we found alignment? Reach, am I reaching enough people? And trust is the people I'm reaching, how much do they trust me? Because if they trust me, the more they trust me, funny thing is, the more people trust me, the less alignment even I need to define, because they're like, George, whatever you got, sign me up. I don't know if you've ever maybe a few of you, or I don't know if anybody here has been lucky or fortunate enough to have built a rapport with certain people where they're like, listen, whatever you got, sign me up. I mean, I know it's going to be good, right? That's trust. And that's built over time through your marketing when it's authentic, and through your offers, and through the relationships you build just with your audience and your friends and your colleagues and clients. So finally, I'll just say this before we get to the Q&A. And by the way, please, anytime you want to ask anything or want to, we can talk very specifically about your offers, about your content. Really welcome that. We can workshop your sales page. We can workshop your content strategy. We can talk specifically about what you're up to. So you can chat that below anytime. But the last thing I'll say is all of this basically means I see authentic marketing is the way that your business finds its calling. Like, wouldn't it be wonderful if you felt like your business was like right on, like it was like just what your soul came here for. Like it's so well matched with the market, and marketing is so easy for you. I'm grateful that I've, kind of been experiencing that for years now, after I've done this authentic marketing exploration and figuring out for myself and doing. But that's what I want for everyone. I want business and marketing to feel so easy, because you have shifted your perspective about what marketing is, and you're doing the work of allowing, and shall I say, I don't know what the spiritual beliefs are here, but allowing the divine, or the higher self, you might say, consciousness, allowing the higher self or consciousness to speak to your business, And how does it speak to your business? Through other people, through the people you are reaching. That's how the divine or consciousness speaks to your business. It's not just from your own, like, oh, I'm working on my sales page, but in isolation. Like, in isolation is the worst. It's the worst. And particularly for us, solopreneurs, it's the worst, because the more we work in isolation, the more we become the more we become disconnected from other human beings. And therefore the more, well, just like, you're having a baby, right? Like, the more you like work hard on your own marketing and business in isolation, the more it's like, oh, this thing is so precious to me. And you've been disconnected from the market for a while. Now you present your thing to the market and people go, I don't get it. Why are you so excited? Or, oh, that's nice. That's nice. Good job. Congratulations. But no one's buying, or not enough people. So that's what I want to avoid. I want to really encourage you again to make marketing all about connection with the audience and with your audience, and having more conversations to discover alignment. So with that, let me go ahead and answer the question that was sent in advance, and then I would be happy to speak to any of you if you want to bring your own marketing or your own business needs to the table. Chat a few words below, and Katie, you can interrupt me at any time, right? You're welcome to do that. So the question here is, how do I reintroduce myself to a community that I built a couple years ago? My perspective and offering has changed substantially, and I'm still working out how I'm going to present myself again publicly with a very new message and type of offer. Okay. Well, I mean, this is a similar question to, how do I launch my business, right? Because your friends and your network have known you for years, decades, sometimes. And now you're presenting yourself not as, I work in this company or organization, but now I'm working for myself, and this is my new thing. This is what I offer. And by the way, I'm into the spiritual stuff, or whatever it is, right? Like, people are like, so whether you're reintroducing yourself or you're introducing yourself, it's the same question. And by the way, I want to just pause and say, does the person who sent the question in advance want to add any other context that might be helpful? If so, feel free to unmute and say more.
Hey, George. This is
Yeah.
Amy. It's my question.
Yes, Amy.
So the coaching business I built was all about helping people make progress towards goals. It was very
Yes.
much about action, progress, outwardness. And now with focalizing and all the things I've experienced in the years since
Yes.
I've had to step away from my business, um, it's really about being, and it's about not not getting anywhere.
Yes.
And so
Yes.
it's so opposite of, to the point where I almost thought, oh, I'll just start over fresh and create entirely new social channels. And then I
Hmm.
thought, well, that seems like a waste because I built up trust and rapport with a bunch of people over a period of some years.
Right.
And I'd like to
Yes.
reconnect with them because they do trust me.
Yes.
And it's a 180.
Yes. Yes. It's still about personal growth. So it's not like you suddenly are fixing air conditioners and right. It's like it's still about personal transformation. It's still for people who want to become the best version or be the best version of themselves. So I feel like the core values are the same, or similar, and the audience is slightly different, but I don't think it's that different. It seems to me. Maybe you see something different, but okay. So the question I have for you is how much of an event. So like there's like two pathways to this. Okay. I agree with you, by the way, that you probably shouldn't start a whole new I mean, you could, but my guess is that once you start posting about this new, well, just the new method for them, they might be like, oh, that's intriguing. Do you think that's true? Or do you think they'll be like, what is this? That doesn't align with me at all? Or do you think they might be like, oh, never thought of it that way. That's intriguing. Let me find out more. What do you think is might be the reaction, your sense of it?
I hope so. I mean, I think I think part of it too is maybe some self-consciousness or embarrassment on my part that I
Yes.
lived a very different lifestyle and was
Right.
all about like high performance. And then my
Yes.
body collapsed. And
Right.
it's been a 5 year
Oh yeah. Right.
existential,
Right.
all of it, to come
Yes.
back and say, hey, so I'm actually advocating for a completely different perspective
Yeah.
now because I learned a really
Yes.
painful, difficult
So
lesson. And
that
here we are.
that's a powerful story. And do you think anybody in your audience can resonate with that story?
I'm sure.
Yeah,
I'm
me
sure.
too. I
Yeah.
mean, I feel like that's almost like a inevitable learning for a lot of people at some point. It's interesting because I mean, I have a similar kind of turnaround story myself in that the first couple years was all about hustle, mainstream marketing. I mean, in my own way, right? In my industry, it's like, oh, conversion rate optimization, hustle, da 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 da. And then similarly, I collapsed. Like my conscience said no more of this stuff. It was a different kind of collapse. It was more of a spiritual conscience collapse. I can't do that anymore. Well, then what's next? I had already built up a large audience or sizable thousands of people. So I had to also do a 180. And I also had to tell my story of, listen, I no longer resonate with or endorse sales funnels. I no longer resonate with the kind of hustling that I was encouraging and doing. I'm now going to talk about business as spiritual practice and da 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 da. And not surprisingly, a good number of people who had been opening my emails said, "Oh my God, this is great." Like this feels more real. This feels more true. My guess is that you're going to get that kind of response. And by the way, that's a much more interesting story than, hey, I was born into focalizing and this is all I know and this sounds cool. But like, no,
Yeah.
no, it's kind of like basically I've been to the dark side kind of
Yeah.
idea, right? Um, yeah. So rags to riches has always been a very well received story. In this case, it's rags, running yourself to rags to the riches of the inner life, right? So yeah, I think it's great. So now the question is, reintroducing yourself. Do you prefer to make it more of an event, or do you
Mm.
prefer to do it more of like stepping in step by step into it. So what I mean is, if you were doing the step by step, you would basically start to post on socials or email or whatever you're reaching them, and just to start telling the story bit by bit, bits of the story here and there. If you're doing a kind of like a bigger splash, an event type of thing, then you would kind of tease up the event to say, hey, something big has happened to me in the past couple of years. I'm going to share about it in this webinar. And here's the sign up. If you can't attend, you can get the recording or whatever. But you kind of like building up to that. Now, not that you can't do some combination of both, because you can still step in gently and still do a big webinar at some point. But basically, there are these two options you can take, and neither both are fine. You know.
Yeah, I think it's going to be more of a wading in, because I live with chronic limitation and disability, and so I think for my nervous system's sake, while I
Yes,
have done events in
I
the
know.
past, that
Yeah,
doesn't feel aligned with my body.
yeah, yeah.
So I think,
I'm with you on that. I no longer
yeah.
do big launches. I can't do it. It's just everything is much more gentle launch, gentle stepping in for me too. Yeah.
And to your point about attachment,
Yes.
I think I have a lot more attachment when it comes to the big event stuff.
Oh
And I
yeah. Oh,
also
naturally.
received a lot of sales training around like
Of course.
basically what you were describing
A lot
earlier.
of detoxing. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think also to the idea of stepping in more slowly and getting some feedback or engaging my community
Yes.
a bit to
Yes.
be more of a conversation, because I do have
Yes.
ideas of things I'd like to do in terms of offering in addition to
Yes.
one-on-one sessions. But it
Yes.
feels like maybe it's a better move for me to start like with the simplicity
Yes.
of the one-on-one sessions, and then allow that
Yes.
to inform
Sure.
and evolve.
Great idea. Plus one-on-one sessions is easier for the business model. Usually you can build a sustainable income much more quickly than group things. So yeah, no, I love that. And one thing I'll kind of have you consider is waiting in. I think of the three stages of content creation, which I practice. Stage one being whenever you put a new idea out there, in this case, telling your new story, just do it experimentally, do it casually, do it with as little attachment as possible and without too much efforting. It's just, I'm going to try Instagram live, or I'm going to try writing something up in just half hour, real quick, like no big deal. You put it out there and you could try again and again and get different ways of doing it, right? Like stage one is putting things out there casually, consistently, experimentally. And then after a month or so, you look back at your past month's experiments and go, oh, which ones got reactions, got engagement? And oh, wow, okay, these three things got engagement. Let me take those three things, let me polish them up even more, take another half hour to polish up even more, and then distribute it again or further. That's stage two. Stage two content is to take what the best of stage one, improve it a bit more, distribute it even further. And then stage three is to take the best of stage two and maybe some of stage one and turn it into a product. Now you have a group program, a course, or just more material for your one-to-one, but it's a product now, or a book, right? And that's how all my books were written. It's just a bunch of stage one stuff that became stage two. And then I just collate them into a theme, and that's the book. So anyway, I have a blog post. You can look it up, 3 stages of content creation if you want. But yeah, Amy, I'm excited for you. I think that's really interesting, and I think it's a promising path.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, anybody else want to workshop something, whether it's your content strategy, your offers, your overall kind of business direction or marketing direction? How's it going with how is it going with your pathway of getting enough clients? And I can talk all day long, by the way, so it's not like I'm out of content. I could, if you want, I can talk for the next 8 hours. But I wanted to be sure those live have a chance to speak up and get any support.
Well, I have a question for you, George.
Sure.
Um, so I've recently launched. So I work with someone else outside of this called the Museum of Happiness, and with that, I'm a primary teacher, and I really wanted to do a kind of like a short course for teachers to support with their well-being. And I had my own kind of solo business, which was a struggle, and I found it quite difficult. And it's something that I've realised is a little bit of that kind of, it's a slower burn, and it's going to take time. And I put quite a lot of pressure on myself to make it something quickly, and that pressure I realised took me out of alignment, and
Yes.
I was kind of following the marketing gurus and
Yes,
stuff.
of course. Yeah, naturally.
So what I decided to do is think of that as a long-term, a slow thing that I can just be very, you said stage one,
Yes.
and I can do stage one for a while without the pressure. And
Yes.
in the meantime, I've decided to launch what I was going to launch on my own, but under the name of Museum of Happiness. And so using their platform, and it's under their name. So I've launched that this week. They've got quite a big following. So I've only put, and this is where I realise it's the pressure thing. I've only put one post out, and then I'm like, well, I'm waiting. People, a little bit of engagement. But what would you say? So this is going to be in the summer holidays. I did lots of polls on lots of groups.
Oh,
and
great.
lots of teachers said this particular dates is when they wanted it.
Wow.
I can't advertise this in the groups because it's now a paid thing.
Yes.
So what could you support with any strategies with that?
Wow. Well, congratulations. That's great. I mean, actually, one thing I didn't mention yet was one of the methods of reach. Remember, we talk about alignment, reach, and trust. One of the reach methods is collaboration, collabs, or connecting with other individuals or organizations that have an audience that you'd like to reach, and then finding a win-win way of doing it, which you have. Congratulations. That's wonderful. So the polls that you took in those groups, right?
Yes.
Are you able to comment on those polls, add a new comment so it bumps it up to say, or I would do both. I would edit the original post. It was a Facebook group or?
Yeah, I've done it across about 10 different Facebook groups.
Wow. Hey, great.
So I've got a huge amount of data.
Yeah.
And then I think I've messaged myself the links so that I could go back.
Okay, good. Yeah. So what I would do is I would edit the post to say update, big letters, update. There is a date set now. If you're interested, I don't know if it's appropriate to put the link. If it is, do that. If not, then say, if you're interested, message me, and then I would also add a comment so it bumps the post up so that people either see the comment or see the updated post. And then, unfortunately, if you cannot post the link, then you'll need to message people, and you'll just say, hey, message me about it. I will be sure to get you the link. And yes, you have to do the unscalable at the beginning stages, which is to be doing a lot of private messaging with a lot of potential people who want to come to the event. But you can, of course, copy paste. So get the message ready, and then, you just set yourself a time. Okay, here's my half hour where I'm going to reply to a bunch of people and just copy, paste, copy, paste, copy, paste. So, yeah. Yeah.
Okay, that's great. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, no, that's really cool. I really, and I hope you will continue to create more content in this partnership, and keep and try to talk to. I know you did polls. I don't know if you had the chance to actually have like Zoom calls or conversations with some of the teachers, but like that's one of the things that almost all solopreneurs don't do enough, is actual one-to-one conversations with our market, so-called, or which is basically human beings who might be potential participants or clients. Is like, we need to do more one-on-one calls with them, not to sell them on things, but to be genuinely curious, to say, hey, given given that I work with these 3 issues, which of these 3 issues, or what I work with 5 issues, which of these 5 issues resonate with you, or even before you ask the issues, you can just have a conversation depending on how well you know them to say, let's talk about what are you needing at this time, basically, in this general area. And then you hear their language, you hear what they've been trying, what hasn't been working, what they've been curious about, and all that is super helpful to lead to the alignment of your offer, so that whatever skills you're presenting, focalizing, for example, you can frame it in a way that your market is the way that they're thinking, the way that they're telling you. So anyway, I hope that's helpful.
Yeah, that's very helpful. Thank you, George.
Yeah, you're welcome. Well, anyone else here want to workshop your marketing, your upcoming launch, or any offer, feedback you need? And if not, I can definitely keep talking about various things that might be interesting, such as reach strategies. I know a lot of people want me to talk about that, so I'll pause first and see if give enough time to the introverts.
George, Bob, giving time to the introverts. I just wanted to say I really appreciate the mention you made of I don't know how long I'm going to live, so let me make something that even if I died tomorrow. That's how I've been making decisions across the board in my life, and I just hadn't gotten there yet to including marketing. And so that was a nice moment for me to hear you say that, and I appreciate that perspective.
Oh, thank you for saying that. Thank you. It really is this kind of surrendering, and this kind of like I think of it as like bless and let go. Like that's how I think of all of my content, like bless and then let go, because I don't know who's going to be reading this. Some of them are like my perfect client, but some of them are, there's always a spectrum between they don't know who I am and they're probably not the right person for me, all the way to, wow, where have you been all my life, George? And when can we get started? Kind of thing. Like there's this giant spectrum. And there's always a spectrum of people reading and watching our stuff. And it's like something we say that even one tiny bit could really make a shift for somebody, even if they're not the right fit. I mean, I do get messages on a regular basis from people who I know are not potential clients, but they're like, thank you. That piece of content really made a difference for me. And I'm like, what more is important in this life other than we make a real positive difference for people, whether or not we got the money or not? It's like, no, that the world is better because of this. So the world is slightly better. So yes, if you can create content from that sense of blessing and then letting go, your content's going to shine. I mean, it's just going to have a different quality and feel. And that's really what grew my audience, because in the early years, I was growing an audience based on, well, like you said, goals, right? Like, oh, you can have these promises and you can have these material things. And it was a shallower audience, or at least the audience related to me in that kind of shallow way. And then once I said, I'm going to give you the best energy that I can sustainably, but the quality of energy I'm giving is I'm bringing true care and true expression to this thing, then wow, people really saw that it's different. Because I mean, can you imagine in a field like marketing, there's so many marketing people. I mean, it's like more marketing people than blades of grass on earth. It's like, but how was I able to stand above all? It's not like, not that I'm a marketing genius, no, but because the quality of heart was different and people saw that, and it's like, oh, wow. And so that's what I hope for all of you when you make content. Like, let the quality, and when I say quality, right, I don't mean like, oh my God, it's poetically written, or your video was brilliantly edited. I don't do any editing on my videos, but the quality of heart is different. Like that's what is uncompetable. Like if you try to compete on the level of copywriting or graphic design or brilliant video editing, you will have no end of competition. There's just, people have gobs and gobs of money and time for that. But so few people are willing to touch the quality of heart that I'm encouraging for all of you, that really will make your content stand out and your offers stand out too. And by the way, offers, I should say, should be gentle as well as the content, because like what I just said about content, oh, take half hour to write something, or do an Instagram live, which is going to take you less than half an hour, right? Stage 1 content. The same thing with offers. Like, remarkable thing I discovered in all these years. And by the way, interrupt me anytime you want to like workshop something, right? And all these, I've launched about 10, get this, okay? I've launched about 10 things a year for the last 15 years. Well, for the last about 8 years, I've launched 10 things a year. And I said, George, how are you still sitting awake? Like, how are you still here? Because all my launches were so gentle. They were easy on the nervous system, both on my nervous system and on the nervous systems of my audience, versus the typical launch you see and that you're taught is like, let's do a 6-figure launch. And I'm like, I'm already exhausted. Here I'm like, and when I do talk to people who literally do a 6-figure launch, I'm like, how did it go? They're like, I barely broke even. It took about 6 figures to do that launch. And it also took, 10 years of my life. It's like, oh, okay. And I'll be honest with you, I regularly, most of my launches are, well, I would say half of them, okay. Half of my 10 launches a year are 5-figure launches. They're not 6-figure launches, but 5-figure launches. But that's certainly good enough. And it's just one person. I don't need a copywriter. I'm not a good copywriter, by the way. You look at my sales page, you're like, yeah, this is not as, I'm not salivating at George's sales pages like I am salivating at, some other big marketers. I don't have graphics, or my graphics are, nowadays I use AI to generate graphics. So I'm like playing around. And it's like, I'm playing. That's the point. And I invite all of you to do that. And so I guess the main message, and this hopefully will save you a lot of heartache, save you a lot of work. If the offer is well aligned with the audience, it can be remarkably simple and gentle of a launch, and it will still sell well. It's amazing. Like, literally, if the offer is aligned, you can simply write a quick half hour, take your half hour to write a Facebook text only post, and you'll get clients. You'll get enough clients. You'll get like, wow, really? All these people are interested. Versus if the offer is not aligned with the market, like if it's something that really interesting to you, but they don't care about it, they don't want it, they haven't got the context. Maybe you haven't done enough content to educate them on the context, whatever. But if it's not aligned, oh my gosh, which I've definitely had the experience to 10 launches a year. I've definitely had the experience. Oh, I worked so hard on the copy. I worked harder on this copy than the other ones. I did more graphics. I tried to put more graphics in, and I sent just 1 or 2 more emails than I used to. And I was like, how come the sign-up rate is so much lower than this other one that I barely spent any effort on? So really, I'm saying this might save you a lot of money, because you're going to get other marketers selling you on, listen, I could put this 6-figure launch together for you. Oh, really? Well, how much is it going to cost? Oh, just $97,000. Like, oh, you're going to make me a $3,000 profit? Thank you. And it might not even be a 6-figure launch. You might end up selling $70,000 and you paid, $80,000 for it. You're like, what in the world is happening? Yeah. So I like to call it like the paper airplane analogy. That this is really true. I've noticed for launches, right? For announcing offers and things like that. If you work really hard on a paper airplane, like let's say you're a novice in making paper airplanes, which like most of us here are novices in launching. Okay, like you like work on, man, this paper airplane is going to fly really, really well, and I'm going to take a bunch of courses on making paper airplanes, and I'm going to get some coaching on making the perfect paper airplane, and I'm going to just do all this for 6 months before I fly the damn thing. What's going to happen? no matter how much where you work on, the first time you fly it, it's probably going to go like, and you're like, what happened? I worked so hard on this thing. And you're like, you had to watch it fly to realize the left wing is like a little bit too much this way or whatever, And I was like, how come it just went straight down? Oh, the back, the tail has to be tweaked. Like you won't know. And so it's like, why not, instead of spending 6 months building this paper airplane, why don't you spend 6 minutes to say, well, let me just put something together real quick. It's about right. Let me see what happens. Toss it. Oh, wow, it's going to the right and then crashing. Oh, let me fix the right wing. Oh, now it's going but less to the right, but now it's kind of going too far to, okay. And it's like this for launches too, I found. And it's like, if you just go, well, it's no big deal. And it's the only way it could be no big deal is if you spend 6 minutes instead of 6 months. If you spend 6 months, you're going to be like, all my effort, and that's what I destroyed this thing. Versus, by the way, you'll probably spend more than 6 minutes creating your offer, okay? But maybe you'll spend 6 sessions of half hour each, or 6 sessions of an hour, fine, to put together your offer, to think about your marketing strategy, all that stuff. And if you launch it and you hear crickets, right? And it goes like this. You don't hear any humans like, hey, sign me up, and you hear crickets only. Then you go, oh, okay, back to the drawing board. Or at the very least, let me talk to some of the people in my audience and say, hey, I don't know if you saw, I recently announced this thing, and it turns out that it really wasn't the right fit for my people. And I'm just really curious to hear from you as a representative of one of my people. What are you looking for at this time in this general area of personal growth, or this general area of having better relationships, or whatever? Like, what are you looking for? Like, what's really, as they say, keeping you up at night, or something that you've been like looking at, or maybe even afraid to ask? Like, what are you thinking on? What's weighing on you? And what you hear from them, especially if you hear something similar from 2, 3, 4, 5 people, can be your next offer. And you can simply even take your existing skills, maybe even your existing offer, and just change the framing of it, because your business is like this mansion, okay, beautiful, with gardens and with different rooms and with different ways of entering the mansion. And your audience, they like a particular way of entering. They like to enter through the garden gate, whereas you're just emphasizing, go through the drawbridge, go through the drawbridge. You're like, no, I want to go through, there's alligators there or whatever. Like, they want to enter through the garden gate. Okay, well, maybe you should emphasize, like, it's the same mansion, but you just talk about the garden gate, and then they're like, oh, it's beautiful. Yes, I would like to enter that way. But you won't know what they want until you hear from them. And the more open-ended questions, the better. One of the dangers that I've seen people do is they basically take they take polls, but the kind of poll is like, hey, do you think this thing sounds good? And who's going to say no? I mean, maybe we have some trolls, but usually people will say, oh, it sounds great. And especially when you even in conversation, you say, hey, I'm thinking of launching this thing. What do you think? That's not market research. That is simply validating your existing idea. And people of course, are going to validate you. They're polite. And this is why I hear people say, George, I did a poll about whether, they want this thing, and they say yes, and then nobody bought. Well, it's the same question as, is my baby beautiful? People are like, it has 3 noses and 5 eyes. Yeah, it's really unique. A great baby you got there. Of course, everyone's going to be so polite. So don't work too hard on any offer. Test it, have conversations, be curious, and do a bunch of these, right? That's why I do 10 of them a year. Not all of them succeed, but nowadays, of course, I've done this so much that all of them at least meet some kind of minimum viable thing. But in the early years, not all 10 succeeded. And it's like, oh, wow, this one did really well. And the next 2, okay, I learned, It's like it's more important to learn from our so-called failures than it is to be kind of oblivious to why we succeeded. Like something went well and you don't bother analyzing it, okay? And maybe your analysis is wrong. Whereas when something doesn't go well, you have a lot more motivation and like genuine curiosity. Why didn't that work? I really thought that would work. So anyway, we have a couple more minutes, and I just want to pause again to see if anyone wants to bring any questions up. Okay. Anyone? Okay. I'm going to just, given that we have a few minutes left, I'm going to quickly kind of list through the different reach methods, because I oftentimes get questions about that. And I want to just like, well, George, I just need to reach more people. Yeah, I get it. I think a greater reach solves a lot of problems. Doesn't solve the alignment problem, but it does make it easier as well. So I'm just kind of quickly read them out. One, a lot of people don't do this, and a lot of people, everyone can do method number one, individual outreach. When you don't have an email list or a social media following or whatever, you can still reach out individually to the people who already know you, because few solopreneurs do individual outreach. Really, few people do this. Most people that I've seen don't do individual. They think, oh, I just got to run social media ads and whatever. Yeah, that's great. We'll get to that. But it's like reaching individually out to people who know you, to let them know about your offer, or to invite them to a conversation so you can ask them about what you should be offering, is so rare, surprisingly rare, especially if you do it with care, genuine interest in them, genuine care for them. Okay. I call it net caring instead of networking, net caring. Okay. So think of it as that individual outreach and net caring, basically. Second outreach method is email list. How many of you here have an email list or email newsletter? You can raise your hand if you do. Yeah. Okay. So if you don't, well, guess what? I think you should start one sooner rather than later, especially if you have a social media or whatever, and even individual outreach. You can say, hey, I'm starting my monthly email newsletter. Here's the link, no pressure, just want to let you know. And if it's, I'm going to talk about this. If it's interesting to people, I hope you'll share it with them, that kind of thing. These days, the easiest way, well, I don't know about the easiest way, but the very popular way to start one is Substack, right? Substack email newsletter. It just can be a free email newsletter. I have my email newsletter. Well, my published web version of my email newsletter is Substack nowadays, and there's no cost for starting one and using one. So email list, and try to do it monthly. 3, posting to your social media. I'm going to list out a bunch, the ones that I use. You don't have to use all of them. Instagram is excellent, particularly for people who like personal development, who are more outdoorsy, artsy, holistic, into personal growth. Essentially, Instagram is great for this. Facebook, also the biggest platform. Can't go wrong with Facebook, really. LinkedIn, maybe, for those of you who want to reach more, professionals, that kind of thing. YouTube, basically the biggest search engine after Google. Okay, YouTube. Every YouTube video you upload, the title is basically a hack to search engine optimization. If SEO is hard for you, all I have to say is upload more YouTube videos. Every single YouTube video you upload, the title is highly prized by Google search engine. Anyway, YouTube. Twitter, I personally enjoy Twitter a lot, just surfing around there. And then Threads and others, as people might have interest. TikTok for some of you. Okay, that's the third one, posting to your social medias, as many as you love using. Fourth one is ads. I run ads consistently. I run them on Instagram, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on YouTube. And those are all pretty easy to run ads. Okay, you don't have to spend a lot. Even if you spend $30 to $50 a month to start with, your business is worth it. I mean, come on. Advertising budget. Are you spending $5,000 advertising budget? No, you're spending 50. Well, better than most solopreneurs, right? So think about that. Number 5, net caring and collabs, particularly with fellow classmates, fellow group members, right? And also, whoever follows you on social media, you might want to look them up and see if they have a following, and you might want to say, hey, I'm looking to be interviewed if you're interested in interviewing me. And if you particularly look at a colleague and you'd be interested in interviewing them, you can maybe swap. That's number 5 is collaborations. Number 6 is stage 2 content. I mentioned this earlier. You can look up my 3 stages of content creation. If you Google it, you'll find it. I think if you ask AI these days, ChatGPT, I think that knows it too. 3 stages of content creation by George Cao. Stage 2 content is a natural way of spreading yourself further. Number 7 is launches of stage 3 content, books, courses, webinars. Every time you launch something, it helps people will tend to get to share it a little bit. And number 8 is SEO, search engine optimization. Let me stop there. I realize we're at the top of the hour, and I want to respect Katie and all of your time. So thank you.
Oh, George, that was absolutely amazing. I could just listen to you talk all evening, I think.
Thank you.
The way you present it is so engaging. I mean, I'm bought in, I'm there. That's it. I love it. Thank you so much. You've really inspired me, and I feel we've all just been glued to the screen. I could see everyone's faces were like, yeah, I mean, absolutely. Just nugget after nugget. I've written so much down. I think yeah, really amazing. And I just wanted to just kind of tag on to what you said at the end there, George, with optimizing and using our community as that space, because we've, part of what the space and our vocalizing community offers is an opportunity to be reaching out to each other all the time. Let us know what your offers, what you're launching, what you're doing, so that we can all share it with our following, and we have this opportunity within the community to really co-create together, to share together. I think I put a post up in the last week just saying, what are you offering? Because the chances are what you're offering, people in the community will be like, I want to go there, I want to do that, or I've got a friend or a client that would really resonate with. So do use the community as much as you can. And I love the idea, George, of the collaboration, of like group, teaming up together with people from the community to maybe do podcasts or an Instagram live, where you interview each other. Fab. That's just
Yeah, I mean,
absolutely
at the
cool.
very least, practicing is a good idea,
Yeah.
right? Like not having this attachment. Oh, I interview this person, we're going to grow our audiences. But like, well, gosh, even if 5 or 10 people discovered you, and then you got the practice, wonderful.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you all
Everyone's
so
just
much.
sending their messages of appreciation there, so I'll give
Oh,
you a
thanks.
moment just to
Yes.
absorb that.
Yes. Thank you. I appreciate the chats, everyone. Thank you so much.
Been amazing. Thank you so much. And
You're welcome.
the recording will be up as soon as I can, hopefully this evening.
Yeah. Thanks, Katie, for all that you do.
Thank you. Thank you so much. See you all
Thanks
soon.
everyone for showing up.
Thank you,
Bye,
George.
everybody. Thank you.